swear I do not believe it. And they are back on terms.
Hello and welcome to New York Talk. We are still top of the league after the Friday night draw at home to Wigan Athletic. There's plenty to cover from that game, to be honest with you. And also we have another look ahead, another game, as Morecambe come to New York Stadium for the first time in nearly 10 years. So thank you all for joining us. We'll go through who's with us in a moment. Michael is with us.
Hello.
Michael. Technical difficulties. You finally got here successfully.
I'm a boomer, mate. I'm a boomer.
Correct.
I can't operate all this stuff. It's way beyond me.
Okay. And Ben, it's a pleasure to have you back. You escaped London before the storm hit, didn't you?
Yes, thankfully, yeah.
Brilliant. And Danny is back with us as well. Thank you for joining us, Danny.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry to do this for the second podcast in a row, but I just want to pay a little tribute to my grandma, and it would have been her birthday today. And she was the one that sort of pushed me and my mum to go to the playoff final in 2018. She was very ill at the time, and we were a bit 50-50 whether to go or to stay and look after her. And she went, "No, you two go, you two enjoy yourselves." And yeah, it would have been her birthday today. And I believe she would have been 90, possibly 91. So yeah, but she obviously passed away a few years ago. So happy birthday today.
Birthday. Thanks, Grandma. We have loads of people with us. Thank you. Gav Grundy is with us. His brother Scott's with us. John Insulis with us. The YouTube users with us. Bazza, Paul Brook, Tip Top, Reese Kellogg. There's so many people here. Thank you all for joining us. If you are on YouTube, Facebook, and if you're audio listening as well, you are just as valued to us. We don't mention your names, obviously, but you are just as valued. So let us talk about the game. James Davis is with us. Says, I'd taken a point before kickoff, but honestly felt we were the better side overall. Day on to the next one. Interesting, Mick, because I thought we really struggled. I thought we struggled to get into the game. We struggled to get, except that 5 minutes after Rathbone scored, I thought it was all really difficult for us, and Wigan made it very difficult for us.
Yeah, they were a bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. Well, they weren't they? Let's be fair. You know, they've obviously got some quality players. They're obviously capable of playing some good football, and they did in patches. But it did seem that they did come to spoil rather than to play. You know, I think they were happy with the draw. The way that they performed subsequent to our equaliser proved that they were happy with the draw. I think they came for the draw, and you know, a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. If I'm entirely honest, although they're clearly the second best team in this division.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I thought that was a bit of a compliment to us, though, saying basically they came and set up to strangle Barlasser, to not give many seconds on ball, put so much pressure on our back three, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail, but they put so much pressure aerially on our back three. I was really impressed with them. Defensively, they were all right, but I don't think we troubled them too much defensively. Danny, that's what I got from it, that they did come spoil. But again, that's just a compliment to us. They're second best team in the league, and they're coming to us saying, we're not going to win this game, so in a normal way, so let's just try and spoil it.
Yeah, I think coming to the top of the league to not win, just to not lose, really. I think that's how they set up. And I do think their first goal was a little bit smash and grab. Anyone who's watched the vlog, thank you, first of all, but also you can see that their goal was onside. I mean, we all basically...
The second phase one. The second phase was.
The second phase, it should never have happened.
Yeah, the second phase was, but the first phase, that's still got question marks on it. But the second phase where he's come back onside from his offside position, Chio is playing him on. But again, smash and grab, they've gone for 25-yard strike, and they've nailed it. Now, I'm not too sure if Humphreys is well known for doing strikes like that. We know that Rathbone is, or at least taking them on and trying them. I think the commentary got it. I can't remember which commentary it was, whether it was EFL or the Wigan commentary, saying it was more of a hit of frustration. It's like, no, it wasn't. Rathbone set himself perfectly for that goal. Behave. But yeah, in the first half, I would say Wigan were the better side. They went out to frustrate us straight away, and they did it very well. And I think we didn't really kick ourselves into a proper high gear until probably 50-55 minutes. And that's when the ball really started rolling. You could say, oh, hang on, we could score from this. Got a little bit lucky with their goal getting disallowed because it was a soft foul on Vickers, I will say. It was soft on him. It is a foul, I will say, but it was a soft one.
Nah.
It's one of them keeper bubble protection sort of fouls. And then 2 minutes later, we've scored afterwards. So that's like, anyway.
Danny, me and you, mate, we're gonna have some fun tonight.
well, what I will say, just to back up any argument you've got, the ref were atrocious. I'll start by saying
we'll
that.
come on to him. We will come on to we'll come on to Jezza later on. He can have his own section later on, definitely, because he were bad. Yeah. Let's start with giving Wigan some credit, and then Mick's come spoil Ben, but let's give him some credit. Humphreys and McGuinness, who were 2 strikers, and I thought they marshalled our defence really, really, really well. They didn't give any of our defenders a second. I thought Humphreys was one of the best players on the pitch, even with his goal. I thought it was a constant menace. And although Mick may disagree, I can completely see what they were trying to do, and it almost worked.
Yeah. Yeah, that Humphreys was, for me, Humphreys was the only threat. And I think when he went off, it was guaranteed they weren't going to score again, in my opinion, because he was the only threat. Yeah, I mean, they weren't that good. I don't know how they're second, if I'm being honest with you. I'm guessing that's not how they play every team, because we're obviously the best team in the league, according to the league table. And I think they tried to Wycombe us.
I said again,
we're doing that.
They are Wycombe, but with much better players.
Well, they can do it because they've got someone like Humphreys who can, nick you a goal and then sit back like they did and take advantage of referee not doing it, which I'm sure will come on to. But yeah, they weren't that good. I'm being fair. They weren't that good.
I think maybe what I'm trying to say is tactically, I think the way they set up was good.
They did a job on us tactically.
Yeah. Only Humphreys shone from an individual performance, but as a unit, I thought they did really well. They did really well for their plan. Yes, they executed their plan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they did. Mick, agree?
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. Boring, isn't it? And it is. I don't want my team to go anywhere, play like that. I don't. I just don't. I'd take a loss. I'd take a defeat as soon as having to play those sort of tactics. It's just boring. It's just garbage, and it shows for me a lack of confidence in your own ability. You know what? Essentially, what you're saying is, I don't think I'm good enough to beat you, so all I'm going to do is try and spoil the game and hopefully nick one. Well, that's
it worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, absolutely.
It worked for Wigan. It worked for Wycombe. So
it worked for Wycombe.
It worked for Wycombe, and they got a point. So
it's almost worked for other teams as well against us.
Listen, I'm not arguing it's a valid tactic. I'm saying I don't like it. You know, people use it, whatever. For me, it's an indication that you're not good enough to beat the other team fair and square at the game that you're supposed to be playing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's a tactic, isn't it? It's a tactic.
Yeah, of course it is. Listen, I agree. Of course it is. And I'm not being critical. I know it sounds like I am, but I'm not being critical. If that's how you want to play and you're comfortable in your own skins doing that, and then that's entirely up to you. That's entirely your choice. For me personally, as a football supporter, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But that's just me. That's just my opinion.
I think there's a difference when if you're 1-0 up, I can accept time wasting. We all as opposition fans, you don't like it, but you sort of understand, right? If they're 1-0 up, their keeper's going to take 20 minutes to take a goal kick. Don't like it, but that's going to happen because they're 1-0 up. When it got to 1-1 in the 85th minute, and they're still time wasting to a ridiculous. That's when it starts to become a bit like, I don't understand what you're trying to achieve, really. I think that's what you're trying to say, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I mean, they were doing it at 0-0. You know,
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Essentially, going down, pretending to be injured until the referee asks if they want trainer on. Then they say no and then get up. So that's wasted 30 seconds a minute or whatever. That's what they do. It's a Wickham trick. It's, whatever. If you like that kind of thing, get on with it.
Yeah. John Oxley makes a good point, looking ahead a bit. But if we play Wigan in the Papa John's, we've got to come up with a different plan, which is potentially a fair point. And if it's a one-off game, it doesn't matter, does it? We can try something different.
Wait, it's not a one-off game, is it? Because it's worked for Wickham. It's nearly worked for every other team that's tried to do it. So it's not one-off, is it?
The final, if we get to the final is a one-off game, so we can try something different. Because you don't want to lose 3 points over it, so we can try if we play them in the final.
Want to win it cup.
I know, but if we play like that against them if we allow them to impose their game on us again, which could happen, we're going to struggle. So we might try something.
So do you think that we should just try and play football around them? Do you think that's the plan against that?
That's what we tried to do, but we didn't work, did it? For the most part.
Well, for me, the tactic is what Cheltenham did, and just make it a Sunday League game where it's balls up in air and make it scrappy. And Cheltenham scored 5 goals. Cheltenham scored 5 goals.
That was a great game. Yeah,
it was.
Wickham got what were coming to them in that game, didn't they? But that's another story.
Yeah.
Peter Carr, he thinks we gave them too much respect. Possibly, but I think that's maybe not giving them enough credit for their performance, possibly. 0-4. Just want to say I'm really happy we've got rid of Curtis Till. Big cheat and can see why Warren wanted rid of him. And the big question from Donna London, so thank you for joining us, Donna. Question of the day: if Woody and Till had a fight, who would get knocked out and in which round? So going off on the boxing thing, we obviously that's this one, Ben. Who's Kell Brook? Who's Amir Khan? Who's comfortably in it, or is it more closer than that?
Well, Kell Brook's Woody.
Yeah.
And Amir Khan's Tilt.
I agree. It's not even close, is it? Not for me.
No.
I genuinely thought for a brief second that Woody was going to go up and knock him out. When anyone running towards him, I just said to him, what's Woody doing? I'm glad he didn't.
It'd be a no contest, wouldn't it? It'd be a no contest because Tilt wouldn't get his way into the ring, would he? He'd have fallen over before he got into the ring, so he'd fall at ropes on his way in.
Joel Stone would have knocked out. It were interesting, Danny, because when you see players come back like that, nobody booed him because he might as well not sign for us. There was no real animosity from the crowd, but he was doing his darndest to wind everybody up. Woody, Smithy, he was really trying to get at our players. I was really, really surprised about that.
I think it's more of a testament to his character and why he didn't really fit in at this football club. He's not one to muck in with your mates and get the job done, which is quite evident. Because he thought he was the bee's knees in that defence, and out of the three of them, he was probably the best centre back in their back three, which says a lot. Bear in mind his 5th choice centre back when he was here. But he properly played the wind up merchant, and it's like, mate, if that's what you're like when you've come here to play a football game, what on earth were you like at the training ground? If you're like this here, and you've clearly got something in your head about Woody and Smithy, like there's something about them that you don't like, so you've got, I'm going to try and wind them up, There is something there that he doesn't like about them, which is probably why he never fitted in. And, it's the whole, I feel like I'm settled here at Wigan. I think it's more a case that he didn't get on with enough people at Rotherham. And, I think it's point of fact that every manager does have a stinker of a signing in them. I mean, it's happened to Fergie at Man United and Klopp at Liverpool. And I think Tilt is going to go down as one of the strangest Rotherham signings ever. Signed from Blackpool for 100k, played once in 2 years, and then went to Wigan and then went, I'm going to try and finesse everybody on the pitch. Which you do want. You say about there wasn't much fan animosity towards him. It was from where I was sat, good Lord, and it was from me as well.
But it brought that himself, didn't it? I don't think to start with, I don't know, to start with, there was none. But then the way he carried himself, there was. Yeah,
and definitely when he tried to have a do with Woody, that's when I think the scales tipped against him completely.
Yeah.
It's like, he's starting. It's nice to know that he actually exists in football. And And then as soon as he starts knocking about with Woody and Smith, it's like, yeah, you're not the sort of player we thought you were.
Yeah.
And yeah, at that end of it, it was getting boos and being called this, that, and other. Nothing racially motivated or anything like that. Just your standard fan chatter towards a player, which also happened to another player in the Wigan squad, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment as well. But yeah, but long and short of Till, I think he has let himself down in terms of his character. You know, we had him pegged as this other worldly defender who was like, oh, he's done a job, you know, in the Wigan squad. Maybe he could come back into our squad and do something. But after seeing what he was like against it, it's like you had no intention of playing in this squad, mate. You may as well have faked the injury coming back from the Jamaica squad because there was no intention to play for us. So I wish him all the best with Wigan. And yeah, we'll just draw a line at sand and go. Ta-ra, bye.
Yes, very much so. J-Boy, have I missed the rant about the officials because the linesman next to the family stand was atrocious? You haven't missed it. That is coming up. I thought we'd take a brief intermission from the game and talk about the sort of sad news of the few former players and managers died over the past few days. Mick, I'm going to refer to you because you will remember both of these and they were before our times. But Billy McClean, former player and manager, and Trevor Swift both passed away on the day. It was on Friday, basically. On Friday night, I think. Start with Trevor Swift. You, when the news broke, you were gutted because he was one of your favourite players growing up.
Yeah, as a kid, as a young lad, I used to love Trevor Swift. I was very, very young when he played for us, but I do remember him very well. A hell of a player, and it's sad. It's really, really sad. But that's life, isn't it? You know, that's life. It's yeah, I don't know what to say really. I don't know what to say about Trevor Swift or Billy McClean. I didn't realise Billy was 70. I didn't realise he'd got to that age, to be perfectly honest with you. So it's sad, really sad. But we'll pay. I'm sure we'll all pay our respects to him at the game on Tuesday night.
Absolutely,
and it'll be fully deserved. Certainly for both of them.
Yeah, on the same night we were paying tribute to one of the League Cup finalists, Roy Lambert, as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So a strange day. Billy McClean was the last manager to manage the club to a league title as well. So hopefully we can win it this year and sort of put it to his honour a little bit. I think that'd be really, really beautiful for us. So we normally do this point sort of go, let's look at the starting 11. Let's talk about that a bit. But then we all knew what a starting 11 were going to be, really, didn't we? There were no surprises. We were like, oh, right, well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We haven't really got
less than 10 on FanHub. I was just saying, anybody that got less than 10 on FanHub, you need to delete the app.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's always going to be that. I mean, can you disagree with it, to be honest? I mean, who else are you going to play? That's it.
No,
who else are you going to play? I mean, Vickers and Johansson are probably the only people that you can argue to swap around. But, yeah. Same again on Tuesday for me.
Probably will be, to be honest. Let's talk about the officials before we move on to more of the play. Mick, again, people love a good Mick rant. Do you want to talk about the referee or the lino first? Because they are two different conversations, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, talk about them as a team, first of all. It's the same team that refereed us away at Reading last season when they missed 2 offside goals.
Let me get my snacks ready.
So that's the first thing I would say. The linesman on the family stand side, I'm not convinced he's a linesman. I think he was just somebody's dad that volunteered to run line. Because he was genuinely not interested. The lad wasn't interested. He wasn't bothered. He genuinely didn't care what were happening on the pitch. He were looking around him. He were watching crowd. He had no interest in the game at all. His body language was just, I don't really want to be here. It's a bit cold, and I get what Danny says about their first goal not being offside. He wasn't offside when he scored the goal, but he was offside in the run-up to it, as per Reading of last season. It should have been given. It wasn't given. But then we said it before the game, didn't we? You've got a championship refereeing team. You know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get garbage because that's how they are. and they'd prove it week in and week out, Championship level, and when they drop down to our level because they've been found out for being crap, we end up with them in League One, and they come down here and just do the same sort of thing. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. And I put that in the context of the other referees, some of the other referees that we've had this season that are not professional referees, who've been excellent, absolutely excellent. We've had some real good quality refs, except we've had some duffers as well. But the vast majority have been excellent. But we know, because we were there last season, and hopefully we're going to be there next season, so we're going to have to put up with it every week next year. The standard of refereeing, officiating, both refereeing and assistants in the Championship is as bad as I have ever seen anywhere. It really is, and Simpson proved that, didn't he, on Tuesday night, just like his mate. The last home game we had, whose name escapes me now. It's just,
I can't remember now.
We get it all the time, don't we? We get it all the time. So he got a couple of decisions right. The advantage that he played for Chio when Chio scored. I'm thinking, where's the advantage there? But obviously, Ollie Rathbone managed to score from it. But to be fair, it weren't much of an advantage. It's about the only thing I think he got right. And I know we'll disagree. I know Danny's going to disagree, and I've seen on some of the comments that some other people might disagree. That disallowed goal was a disallowed goal, no question, no ifs, no buts. It was a foul on the goalkeeper, and you're not going to convince me any other way.
I don't necessarily disagree with Mick. I'm just saying it was soft. It's one of them where it's like it's going to get given because it's a foul
soft,
on the keeper.
It's not even soft. It's not soft. He's got two centre forwards have gone for the ball in inverted commas, right? Leading arms first into the face of the goalkeeper, and neither of them have got within 6 foot of the ball. Not one of them. Both of them have taken the goalkeeper out. It is a foul on the goalkeeper, and the only good part about that is the fact that Josh Vickers is not laid on the floor with a fractured eye socket like Victor had last season, because it was exactly the same sort of challenge. Foul, no question. And unless somebody's going to be able to show me some video otherwise, he got that right as well. 2 things. The rest of it was just embarrassing.
He got a third thing right. Do you remember when Chio got fouled and the Lino didn't give the foul right in the corner?
Lino having a drink, weren't he? Just turn around and talk to his laddie crowd.
On the foul, it's maybe one of those, if you go back a few years, it's probably not given. In modern day football, it's a foul every day a week, and if it wasn't given, I would be furious.
I'll tell you what, if it had been the other way around and Smithy had gone in on their goalkeeper like that, he'd have been rolling on the floor, clutching his face, and crying like a baby. No question about it. It's a foul. You can't tell me anything different.
It was Championship referee again. And this is a problem. It's a problem we talked about last season. We will hopefully talk about next season. I have to talk about it in more detail because we'll be Championship referees. There is the story from the the PGMOL, who run the referees, that they're talking about reviewing the standards in light of Championship refereeing this season. I don't know what you can do. Stop making bad decisions. That's it. If they could stop making bad decisions, they wouldn't make bad decisions in the first place. They're clearly just not very good at the job.
Well, the first thing they could do is to make the rules understandable for everybody. Because what they do is they'll change the rules at the beginning of the season and not give anybody any training, it would appear, or they make the lines blurred, so it's a bit of a judgment call. So every single incident is a judgment call. Well, use your judgment, use your discretion. No, it's a foul or it's not a foul. Don't make it difficult. It's a handball if it hits your hand up here, but not if it hits it down here, or if it's out there, or if it's up there. Don't make it difficult. Make it clear. But they don't. They make the rules difficult to apply at the best of times. And then when you've got people who quite clearly lack competence to the levels that some of these people do, and possibly confidence as well. It's just a recipe for disaster. It's a root and branch thing, and it starts with changing the rules of the game so that they're easily applicable and easily understandable. don't
Yeah,
flag
well-
for an offside until he goes football. But where is he going football or into going football? Well, he might have gone football. Well, yeah, I think he did. I'll tell you what, I'll flag now 10 minutes later when there's 2 players injured because they've had a tackle further down the pitch that shouldn't have happened because they were offside. I don't know.
There's an issue with standard refereeing, and we talked about this last season, but it's worth mentioning again. The only professional referees in the country are Premier League referees and Championship referees. Below Championship level, they're part-time. Now, the problem comes to me, if you've been a Championship referee for, say, 5 seasons, what that means is you're not good enough to be in the Premier League. So if you're not good enough to be in the Premier League, why are you still allowed to referee at a Championship level? Because you're not good enough. And it's not like in football where you can have different levels of good. If you can be slightly better, so you've got high league. It should be a flat line. It should be a basic. I understand what you're saying, Mick, about rules being complicated at times, but everybody should be as good as each other. There shouldn't be levels of goodness and badness. And that's the problem. You get your Gavin Wards and people like that who are Championship referees because the Premier League won't take them because they're rubbish. So we get stuck with them. And that's your problem. It's a problem that's going around. It's not going to stop. We have a good question from John Morell, which is an interesting and valid point. Question for Mick, as you're a fan of refs so far, does he support the EFL's version of VAR, or whatever it's called? VAR light is the word that has been used. What they're basically going to bring in is not offsides, and VAR for everything else, but with minimal camera angles. What's the point?
I don't want to steal your thunder with this one, Mick. But what the hell's the point in it then? You know what I mean? Right. The main thing VAR is used for in the Premier League is rescinding red cards and offside. Right. The offside one is a very shaky line because the team tend to factor in the big sides and like, oh well, his big toe's offside, so we'll disallow the goal against you so you can win the game. But to bring it into the Championship with no offside, it's like, well, why? What's point in you having it then? It's just to keep watching the game and go, oh, that foul were a bit suspect. Do you want to have a look at it again? Yeah. It's like that's the point where it should, like Mick said, it should be the line. Like, that's a foul, that isn't. That's a red card, that isn't. But the whole VAR light thing, it gives the referees that thing to fall back on, which, if anything, is making refereeing decisions worse. It's like, well, if I get it wrong, I can go and have a look at it, and then I can change my mind. You know, keep VAR in any form away from the EFL, because that is something I cannot stand about Premier League football. If you're watching on the telly, right, fair enough, because you can actually have a look at, like, where's the decision going to come from. But if you're in the crowd, no, you can't see anything. There's just a thing that appears on a screen that says VAR checking offside or checking possible penalty. It's like, and the thing is, we can't even hear the thought process behind the referees. They did a trial of it in Australia in their football league, and it was fantastic because the ref will mic up, you could hear the communication, and they could say, well, I think that's a foul, or you might, well, what do you think about it? Or I think this, that, and other. And it was fantastic, and we understood every decision they were making. But in this country, it's a weird protection thing that they've got round them where the referees can just pick the flags up, pick the ball up, go back to changing room, and they can go, oh, I think we've done all right tonight, lads. And then they can go home with no question whatsoever about what's happened. So I've made this point before on the podcast, and I will make it again. Why can't we follow the precedent that rugby's set, where, number one, we can hear what they're saying through the mic, and if you're watching it on telly, and number two, why can't journalists ask them the question, excuse me, Mr. Referee or Mr. Simpson or whatever, why do you think that's a foul? You know, just give them 10 minutes in press room after the game, and then you can say, right, 10 minutes is up, they're going home. Fair enough. Just give us the opportunity to say to him, why do you think that's a foul and this isn't? You know, it's more or less the exact same thing. What's your thoughts process behind it? It doesn't have to be malicious or anything. Just ask the question. And then by asking the question, it might make them go, oh, maybe I should, you know, be a bit more, you know, consistent with my decision making. You know, if I've given that, maybe I should give something similar. And it might actually help them improve through constructive criticism. But if you don't criticise them to the faces and you just write a report saying, I thought referee were a bit rubbish today, he's not going to take that on board. He's just going to go, well, it's just their opinion. I thought I've done all right. But we need some sort of structure where, instead of just changing the way the referee system operates, like through restructuring of it or bringing VAR into it, let journalists and whoever ask the question to the referee, why do you think that's a foul? But do it in an environment where they won't get punished, because as soon as they're on about getting punished, they won't say anything. It's like when we've had players on the podcast, and we've asked them about refereeing decisions. We all know they are not allowed to answer it truthfully.
Not in the way they want.
Not 100% truthfully anyway, because the FA will go, oh, well, you're criticising referees, we're going to fine you and ban you for 3 games, and this, that, and the other. But if you ask it in an environment where it is safe to do so, whether it's through journalists or a club official or whoever, then the referee can actually start saying, maybe I should start thinking about it more. Maybe I should try and improve my own game. But the whole thing around VAR, keep that away from the EFL. For the love of God, please keep it away. Anyway, Mick, the floor is yours.
Well, we are going to move on in a minute, but because it is an important topic. This is one of the key ones that gets said to me and other people a lot. St John's Church, sorry lads, each team officials debrief us after every game. Fine, that's right. I understand. I know some referees. That is 100% correct. All right, then why is it not improving performances? If you're whatever job you do, if you're a police officer and you do something wrong, you are told what you've done wrong, you explain what you've done wrong, and you do it. You've got to improve it. And then if you don't improve it, if you continually make bad performances, you won't be a police officer for very long. But these guys, the question is, they're either being told, "Don't worry about it, mate. You've done a good job. We'll back you up. You're our mate," or they're being told the rubbish and they're not learning. Those are the two options. So I don't accept
the third one.
But they're just rubbish.
No, the players, right, the goal of the game, the goal of football, right, and it's actually, I feel like it's decreased in the Premier League, but the goal of football is to now win free kicks. That's the goal of football. It's not to score goals, it's to win free kicks and penalties. So when you've got, and I don't know, I swear I saw it in comments, but when you've got 22 people trying to con the referee, it's not very easy to do a job. And when you've got people diving left, right, and centre, you're having to make decisions that you've never had to make before because people are trying to con you 24/7. Do you know what I mean? And they're just waiting for you to slip up so they can scream at you. And people don't respect referees at all, by the way. Do you know if people don't respect referees at all? Because because people are trying to con them 24/7, because people are diving left, right, and centre, and the goal of, as soon as someone gets in box, they're not thinking I'm going to score. It's thinking how can I get someone to touch me? No, but that's why refereeing's bad, because everyone's diving. Because people are playing football to win free kicks. No, that's why refereeing's bad. What are you talking about? Well, I don't know about offside. That's poor linesman. Yeah, that's poor linesmaning.
Yeah,
not poor refereeing. Poor linesmaning.
Well, they're all.
That's a different conversation.
You
can't do that. The reason why referees are bad is because players get the ball and think, how can I make contact till I go down? So referees feel like they have to make a decision.
I think the problem with that, the problem with that, Ben, is, and you're right, that's exactly what happens. So don't give it, and players will eventually stop doing it. What's happened is referees have made a rub for their own back in terms of these giving fouls all the time, because now, particularly Championship level and above, the slightest contact, the slightest amount of contact.
That tilt one.
The tilt one was a perfect example. The slightest amount of contact and it's free kick, no matter what. And it's quite clearly not enough contact to go down. Quite clearly, 90% of the time. With some of these
contact
players,
sport, is it not?
Exactly. So in that sense, they've made a rub for their own back. But just to go back to John's question,
players still do it.
Yeah, I know they do. Well, don't give them. Don't give the free kicks. Yeah, you'll get a load wrong that are free kicks. Just don't give them, and eventually it'll stop. Going back to what John said about VAR, VAR light, VAR full in the Championship, pointless. It's pointless. Like it's pointless in the Premier League. It is pointless because it's run by referees. So the people who are making the decisions or questioning the decisions on VAR are referees, and the referees have probably got a different view on how to implement the rules to the referee who's refereeing the game, and the linesman who's assisting the referee. So that all these people have all got different view on how to implement these vague and vague rules and everything else. So it's just destined to be an absolute mess, and it'll continue to be that way. Till somebody gets hold of it by the scruff of the neck.
What football
What was that referee back in day? What was that referee back in day? That bald one.
Clean.
Oh, the
Clean.
Italian.
It might have been him that used to get him. Him that used to get it back. Him that used to get players back. That's what referee used to do.
He was scary though. Him.
Anyway,
Yeah, but you wouldn't die, would you?
No.
People actually
Adrak-
respected him.
Adrak says 2 Rotherham players did it as well. Evens. Yeah, we're not saying
Yeah.
saying
Yeah,
saying
fine.
oh, Wigan
Wales does
Wigan
it
are
every
bad,
game.
Wigan are evil. This is enough about that. So anyway, we could spend an hour talking about this, but we're not
move
gonna
on.
because we are 35 minutes in and we haven't properly talked about Ollie Rathbone's strike, and it's enough. So Ollie Rathbone, Ben, I thought the 3 or 4 players that had good games on Friday. Everybody else was either average or below. Rathbone, I thought, had a very, very good game, and the strike was as sweet as it's been, as sweet as it's done for us.
Yeah, I thought he played all right. It was a good goal. I didn't really want him to shoot. I don't like people shooting from there. It's not the way I see the game playing. But he's a professional footballer and he scored, so can't really argue him.
Okay. Do you think Humphrey should have shot as well? Shouldn't have shot as well?
No, because that was their
A bit
tactic.
closer in.
They were never trying to build up, and they had about 2 players forward, so they were never going to get the ball anywhere closer to the net.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Jerry Simpson, Ollie is a superb sign. He always works hard and deserves the goal. And yeah, Danny, he is exactly what we needed. He's probably an upgrade on Lindsay, which is harsh on Lindsay, but he probably is. And he's important to us. He showed that on the Wednesday game how important he is to us. And he just gave us the edge in the middle and helped gain back a little bit of ground in that midfield battle because we struggled with that midfield battle on Friday.
Yeah, I think we did. I think, again, it's part of Wigan's tactic. They were just wanted to frustrate how we played, but we took one of the very few chances where the pitch really did open up for us because the amount of space Rathbone's got when the ball comes to him, he's virtually just sat on his own in the middle of the pitch. And like I said earlier in the podcast, some people said it was a strike out of frustration. It really wasn't. You can see him calling for the ball. He then sets himself and then smashes it, and absolute thunder cracker of a strike. I was about to say something else then, but I'll stick with thunder cracker. But yeah, I mean, he said on the interview afterwards that that's probably the goal of his career so far. And I can 100% see why, because again, if you go and look at the vlog, I'm dead in line from where he hits it, and you'll see the entire flight of the ball, and it's like a few people behind me did say, "Don't shoot." But as soon as he struck it, it's like, "Yeah, this is in, surely." And yeah, great finish, better than Humphries.
Oh yeah, and it was interesting because before that it was still a bit fly. I agree, don't we? We sort of took over the game in the second half, but it was took over to sort of nowhere. We were struggling to get any grip in the game. And then as soon as that goal went in, those next 5 minutes, I thought we were going to. So I was convinced we were going to get another goal because it just in the instant the game changed, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It did. They lost the bottle a little bit, didn't they? Because we upped our game significantly from that point. The crowd upped their game as well. The atmosphere started to build and the pressure started to build. So I think possibly, arguably, they were lucky to get away with that 1-1 based on that time after the goal. But they managed to settle it down, didn't they? And slow it down and waste a bit of time and just sort of take this thing out of it, which it is what it is, isn't it? But a great strike from Ollie Rathbone. And you watching the video back. We are watching the highlights. It does look funny with the ref playing his advantage, pointing to the corner of the goal where Ollie Rathbone. It's almost as if the ball's gone past the referee and he's gone, shoot there.
Win me Miaka, shoot there.
So ref, didn't he? Good lad.
One of the things. Andrew Kelly, Will Daniels posted, I just see this. The ball was in play for about 39 minutes, about the same as the Wickham game. Yeah, referee didn't get a grip at game. We've already covered that. Individual performances: Steve Cooper, Harding, and Wood were our standouts. Now we'll come on to Wes Harding in a minute. The Richard Wood mention is very controversial for me because we all love Richard Wood. I talked about him last week, and he's a legend. But that was one of his worst games he had for us, in quite a long time. His headers he got dominated in the air. I'd actually think he was somebody else better. But every clearance he tried to do, it just didn't work. He just sort of skewed it left, right, and centre. He's still organised as well, and I'm not saying let's sack him for next game, but for Richard Wood's standards, Ben, for his standards, he was average at best.
Yeah, he had a howler. He had an absolute howler. I think he made a few mistakes at the Wednesday game as well that nearly cost us a goal. But yeah, it wasn't that good. I think mentally and what's the word? Emotionally, I guess he was good for the team, and just him being there and him being on the pitch and him setting that example is always good. But I mean, for him, individual performance, it was he had a howler, absolute howler, in my opinion.
Yes, he did. But the man next to him, Danny, Wes Harding. I love those moments where he just turns into Chio for a few seconds and just skins 2 or 3 players.
Yeah.
But for the last month or two, Wes Harding, for most of the season, with an odd moment, it was brilliant on Friday. I thought Wes.
Yeah, I think so. And I know the exact manoeuvre you're referring to, where he just picks the ball up on the left-hand side, does one, does another one. But it's just a shame that the final ball was just pants, wasn't it?
I think they scored from it as well, didn't they?
Oh, was that it?
I'm pretty sure they scored from it as well. I'm pretty sure they scored from it. Which is
anyway, but that run was fantastic. But again, with Woody having a couple of stinkers, probably through no fault of his own, it's just a rut of form that everybody goes through. And I know Woody will be kicking himself about it as well, but it just goes to show our defensive cohesion, where if one's having a stinker, the other 2 can pick up the pieces afterwards.
He did well. Get an game.
Yeah, and like I say, it just goes to show if one's having a stinker, the other 2 can pick up the pieces. And Woody is the man in the middle, and he likes to marshal the other 2 of them. So if he's keeping the defensive line strong, they can mop up with the actual football. And I think that's why it hasn't completely cost us yet. I say yet with touching wood and everything that's wooden around me. But yeah, I think Woody, with his performance yesterday, just needs to go, I've had a stinker, need to get out of it, sharpish. I mean, he's got the experience to do that, and we all know that he will do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harding properly turned into a prime Pele on that one run, didn't he? It's just the final ball that let him down, which is a real shame. But our back line was marshalled really well, and I think Woody held his own against Curtis Tilt, so my money's on him for the rematch.
100%. In a month's time.
Yeah.
2 months' time. Yeah. Talk about the strikers for a minute. I thought Smithy didn't get a look in, but again, I don't necessarily blame him. It wasn't marked out of the game. He was ragged out of the game. They really did do a job on him. But I want to keep some praise on Freddie. I know Freddie didn't score, and I know probably second half he didn't get a chance to do anything. But I thought in the first 20 minutes or so, he put himself about a lot, and I thought his work rate was exactly where it needed to be. All right, it didn't pay off, but the work rate's there, and that's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. For first half. And this is the thing with Eddie, innit? This is the thing. If things run true to form and he plays on Tuesday night, he'll have a shocker. If it runs true to form, we've seen it on a number of occasions whereby, he gets dropped out of the side, he comes back in, he puts a shift in, he really works hard, he closes players down, he starts getting his goals, things improve for him, then he goes off boil and gets a bit lazy again. Plays for half a game, then he plays for not, just don't play at all. I suspect that's where we're going to be. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he'll keep that level up because he's a good player. It's so frustrating that he's got the ability in front of goal. He's got the speed, the power, the aggression. We saw some aggression from him the other night. He's got the attitude. He's got everything. All the things are in his locker, but unfortunately, he seems to forget his key. You know what I mean? He seems to forget key to his locker every now and again, or just pulls one thing out and leaves everything else inside, which you can't do in this team. So, yeah, he did well. He did really well. And I don't want to be critical of him. I know I am being, and I don't want to be, but it's just so easy, isn't it? You know? And I'm not taking Mickey, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just wish he'd do it consistently. And he'd be a top-end championship footballer. Even if he played consistently to the ability and level and work rate that he's got in his locker, he'd be a top-end championship footballer. Don't know. As we are, he's putting a transfer request and nobody's come in for him.
Yeah, that's true. I thought similar midfield. I thought the first 20 minutes Barlas was decent. I thought Wales had a good start to the game. But again, they just dominated those areas of the pitch. It just didn't allow them to get into the game. I'm not even going to sit here and say they had bad games. They just didn't. They weren't allowed to play. We allowed Wigan to impose. They called them Wickham. I thought they imposed themselves in there. Talk about us being physical and big, strong physical team. They were a big, strong physically dominated us. So I'm not going to lay into them too much. But let's have a praise on Chio. James McClean's having nightmares about him. To be honest with you. John Oxtoby, did you see the McClean clashing? Let's talk about McClean with Rotherham fans at the end of the game. Embarrassing, yeah. Something was said to him in the stand. I assume was said. He essentially then refused to shake one in his hand. Yeah, James McClean's pantomime villain. He plays into it. He seems to thrive off it, Mick. But Chio got the better of that. I know he didn't score, but Chio got the better of him on Friday night.
Yeah, he did. He has no answer to Chio. But then, to be fair, as far as McLean's concerned, he has no answer to very, very much, does he? Let's be fair. He's a bang average footballer. He's absolutely bang average. I'm disappointed.
Still managed a 12, 13-year career, though.
He was
a very good player. He's lost his pace.
Hey, Ben,
I think he's a good player. I think that type of footballer is a good footballer. You know, you see Bannon do it. I think it's a good tactic. It works.
He's not fit to lace Bannon's boots.
And Mick's saying that.
And that's me saying that.
Yeah,
Mick, is that like double strength Carlsberg you've got there?
Yeah, come on, mate. No,
you've got to like. I'm not comparing him to. I'm not saying he's better than Bannon. I don't know. Is this? Did I say something in another language or something? Because I never said that. But you didn't mean or whatever.
Yeah,
I'll
tell you what I am disappointed in. I'm disappointed in our fans having a pop at him because you know what you're going to get. Why give him that satisfaction? Why give him that pleasure? Because the fact that it's on internet now that Rotherham fans have been abusing him and everything else, he thrives on that kind of thing. The best thing to do with people like him is to completely ignore him and have no input with him whatsoever. But yeah, well, whatever. You know, he gets his 5 minutes of fame. I'm sure it'll make him happy for a bit, and then he can go back to.
He don't want that. I think he does. I think he plays football, and I think everyone's reading a little bit too deep into it. In my opinion,
off it, mate. Honestly, thrives.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. But I also think they'll go home. They'll be very peaceful, and I don't think he'll still be thinking about that fan. He had no intentions of going smacking that fan. He just wanted the thought of people think he was going to do it. I think
you might be right.
Yeah, I know. I am right. I can tell you right now because if you see it, like.
He's chatting. Go around there and smack him. Threaten him like James McClean did.
I like players like that, me. I like players like that because there's no one like that in football anymore, and it's crap. It genuinely is crap.
I can't use the word I was going to say, but what? Yeah.
Well, play like I'm not comparing him, but like from a mental standpoint, an attitude standpoint, like a Roy Keane or Vinnie Jones or someone that's going to clatter you and get people up.
The thing is, it's the opposite. He's the opposite of that. Roy Keane and things like that. It was all about the game. It was all about it was hard and he tackled people very hard, but the game was all that was important to him. He weren't bothered in mind games and stuff like that. Roy Keane particularly, he just played the game. He got on with his football game, and that was his football game. James McClean is not interested, and there were so many times. If you watch him closely against Chio, he does this thing where he pretends to foul. It looks good if he's going to try and foul you, but then don't do it. Roy Keane wouldn't do that. Roy Keane would just cleared you out. If you, he's not. he's not. I can't say what I can't find the words I want to say about James McClean. To be honest with you,
I can.
but I don't like him. Obviously,
I quite
I
like
can.
him.
I can.
Our
He needs
team
to act
goes
his
up.
age.
I quite like.
He needs to act his age. He's 32 years of age and he's playing like a 16-year-old who's had a bit too much Monster Energy drink before playing a football game. And the way to try and impose himself is to try and give you a good kicking, but not in the sense of being a strong physical player like Roy Keane is. It's more of to give you a good kicking, to clean you out at game and make himself feel like a big man for cleaning you out of the game. I mean, there was a foul on Chio in the first half where he more or less cleaned Chio out. And for the rest of the half, Chio was a little bit standoffish of him. But in the second half, Chio was running into... It didn't, because in the second half, Chio ran him into the floor, got him booked, and then got him took off because he was going to get himself sent off because he'd lost his head. And that's the main reason he was kicking off, because he was kicking off with a Rotherham fan who said something. I don't know what he said, but from what a few people said on social media, the video that he's doing the rounds, there is nothing racist or sectarian about the language that's used. It's just him being a man-child and trying to start on somebody. But he's trying to start on the fan. He's trying to start on the coach who said it was my decision to take you off because you were too raj.
You weren't happy, were you?
No, he weren't. He then refuses to check Warney's hand because he's just being a crybaby. And then he has to get dragged away by one of the other players, then goes and claps the Wigan fans. I'm hearing rumblings that when he was getting took off, he squared up to Barlasser in the middle of the pitch. I didn't see it personally, but yeah, exactly. He's a player that strives off winding you up, but for the wrong reasons. Roy Keane used to wind you up by being a strong, physical player who, like you say, Matt, would just clean you out, and he'd wind you up because he was a good footballer, and you knew you wouldn't be able to get past him because he would just keep hitting you harder and harder. Same with Eric Cantona, he was the same as well. And the one time he lost his head, he got banned for it. But with James McClean, he seems to have this complex about him where he's like the mate you don't want to take out on a night out, because if someone looks at him funny or sits in his seat, he'll go and have a scrap with him. That's my picture of James McClean. But then compare it to our own Irishman who's from a similar neck of the woods, Georgie Kelly. He's one of the nicest blokes you could ever meet in your life. And I was talking to my granddad about it, and bearing in mind he's 96, some of the language that he used was a little bit unkind. But even he said majority of Irish people are completely sound, lovely people, but you always get the one nutter. Yeah. And I think James McClean falls into the nutter category. not through his political beliefs or anything like that, just from his personality. I mean, he has done a bit of charity work and donated a fair bit of money. When it comes to a match day, he's a very raj character and he has a very, very short fuse. Which
it's got nothing to do with where he's from. It's got zilch to do with where he's from. It's all about it's Sunday morning football. That's where he should be playing, you know, so that he can have a scrap with everybody else who's drunk from night before on a Sunday and turned up on a Sunday morning. You know, that's where he needs to be playing. It's professional football. You don't go around smacking people. You don't go around abusing people. You don't go around having a pop at crowd or having a pop at ref or having a pop at other players or your own coach or whatever. And he does it. He does it time and time and time and time again. So that's why people don't like him. It's got nothing to do with anything else.
He does it to make himself feel like the big man, but as soon as someone takes him down a peg, that's when he cries about it. For example, Kirk Broadfoot. But we can't disclose what exactly he said because of an NDA. But the one player who's took him down a peg, he's cried about it, and then he's got however many game ban from it. But anyway, let's just leave it there and talk about Morecambe, eh?
Yeah, I'll finish on by saying I'm a big fan of Dan Barlasser getting in his face as he's running off pitch. Big fan of that.
Yes, well done, Dan.
Yes. All right. I think we're just about done now. Is there anything else you want to talk about the Wigan game? We're about done. It leaves us 9 points clear of McDonald's because they ended up beating Sunderland. 6 points clear of Wigan. They have 2 games in hand. We have a game in hand to McDonald's. It still leaves us in a really good position. Do you want to talk about the game we watched on Saturday? Me and Ben watched the last 25 minutes of the Wycombe-Cheltenham game. We turned it on at 4-3 to Wycombe or 3-3?
3-3, wasn't it? I think
3-3.
Yeah, 3-3 or 3-2. I can't remember whichever. Yeah, great, wasn't it? It was great.
Brilliant.
What was interesting, and it's something I thought I would never ever see, and that was a Wycombe player getting substituted and actually running off the pitch. And I'll tell you something else I also saw, and Rotherham fans will not believe this, you'll not believe this, but this is actually true. The Wycombe goalkeeper, Stockdale, actually, when the ball went out for a goal kick, picked it up, ran back to the 6-yard box, put it down, and kicked it immediately. I know you'll not believe that, but that did genuinely happen. I'm going to get smacked one of these days. I'm going to have to stay in the house.
And Alfie May scored 4 for Cheltenham. So he was brilliant. He was so good. Thankfully, we didn't play Cheltenham. It's interesting because when we played Cheltenham both times, they were completely utter garbage both times. But then obviously they've got a 5-5 game. So hats off to them. I said McDonald's beat Sunderland. Oxford beat Charlton. Pigs picked up a winner away at Donny. They weren't so bad. What
a win that was as well, eh? What a win. Anyway. And first time they've come from behind to win away from home for 6 years.
6 years?
6 years, allegedly.
And it had to be against Donny, isn't it? You know, the worst team in the league.
Yeah, well.
If you're going to do it, that's the only team you can do it against.
Yeah, exactly.
It's their cup final, though, isn't it?
That's true. That's a fair point.
Wednesday's not Donny's, by the way.
John Oxtoby says, can we wish his son Harry Oxtoby a good luck tomorrow, which is Monday, because he's playing in the under-8s for Rotherham United against Man U, Brighton, Southampton, Wolves, Forest Green, etc. Good luck representing the Rotherham United level.
Best of luck, lad.
So good luck. So we play, as we said, we've got Morecambe coming to town Tuesday. We beat them 1-0 earlier in the season. We've only ever met them in the league once at New York Stadium, and that was a Daniel Nardiello double, 2-1 win in 2012, in October 2012. Ref watch is Simon Mather. He is an up-and-coming referee. It's his first season in the EFL. He was in the National League last season. Not a championship referee, everybody. So, don't panic.
Come on.
So, yeah, up-and-coming ref, that's something to be hopeful about, that he's being pushed through the system for the right reasons. Let's hope so. The stats we have are for Morecambe are poor. They have the second worst defensive record in the league, Danny. And we know they are a team that will fight, and I know they've got the odd bit of quality with Cole Stockton and Diagara and a few others, but they are a team that can be got at, and they are very, very vulnerable at the back.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they've won once in the last 6, and I think they've lost 3 of the last 5, I think. Most recently was on February 12th because the game against Shrewsbury got called off on Saturday. They do have a fairly leaky defence, and I think the one thing that's keeping them propped up where they are in the league is probably the contributions of the front line. They're like Oldham were in League 2 a few seasons ago, where they're really good at scoring, but they've got a really leaky defence. And so it sort of just countermands each other. And of course, Cole Stockton is a threat. I mean, he was the guy who was joked about. Everybody was after him in the transfer window when actually no one was, because they knew they weren't going to be able to get him. And I think he's second top scorer in the league behind Ross Stewart. Is he top?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think
Stewart scored the day, so it's probably not. I'll check while we're talking.
I think he's got 19.
So, yeah, he's up there, isn't it? If I had to put my money on it, it would be Stewart, Stockton, Smith. So to have that many goals in a side that's bottom end of mid-table, that's where their quality is, and fair play to him for it. But I don't think he scored in the last couple of games, so fingers crossed he's in a rut of form and doesn't score against us. But yeah, I think we need to play our game smartly, because we will be able to play our game more against Morecambe. I don't think they're a team that will try and frustrate us like Wigan and Wycombe do. I think they'll try and play their way, try and play our way, and we should be able to get through it. I think if we put pressure on their defence through a high press, it might upset them. But then our back line just needs to keep an eye on their forwards. I think if we do that, it could be rather fruitful for us. But I don't know. Someone says to me, Morecambe will bag a goal on Tuesday. I've got a funny feeling. Not know if it's something I've eaten, but I've got a funny feeling.
You're right. Cole's not scored. He scored 1 in 5, and that was against Bolton in that 1-1 draw. Danny's right. 20 goals for Stewart, 18, I think it said for Stockton, 16 in the league for Smith. So not for the first time tonight. Ben's wrong, unfortunately.
Wait, why? When else was I wrong?
I don't know, mate. I'll listen back to it tomorrow and text you. I'll pinpoint 4 or 5. Don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry about it. They only have one win in the last 8, which was the victory at Wycombe. They will beat Wycombe 3-2. Wycombe scoring loads of goals. I can't believe this is the same Wycombe we played, you know. They have the second worst away record in the division. Only Crewe are worse than them. The concern with that is that Crewe picked up a point at New York Stadium.
Long time ago, though, mate.
Yeah, we're a different beast now, aren't we, to be fair?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're in here. John Oxtoby wants to know about, we'll talk about squad selection, Tutu or Ferguson for the next game. What were your thoughts on Tutu when he came on, Mick, on Friday?
I thought you were a little bit anonymous to start with. But he's clearly got. Basically, they did what they did to everybody else and took him out of the game, didn't they? You know, they just sort of snuffed out any threat that he might have. So yeah, I think it's not a bad shout. I think Fergie's not running on empty, but he'll not far off be running on empty if he plays Saturday, Tuesday. You know, or continues to play Saturday, Tuesday. So it's a game where it is an option. He looks like a promising player from the little bits that we've seen of him. He's certainly obviously very pacey. So yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. In fact, I might even include that in my fan hub prediction.
Look at you.
Hey, I'm an expert, mate. I've got 11 out of 11 twice.
I got 11 out of 11 on Friday. I think a lot of people would on fan hub, to be fair.
I've got to make up for the fact I've got to put my proper home address in it.
Yeah. Harvey Kelwick suggests he wouldn't be surprised to see Angus play on Tuesday for Wood. And that's another question that's worth asking, Ben, is Warney doesn't like to play Woody too much. It's 3 games in a week. He often doesn't play Woody in all 3. The counter argument to that is that we played Friday. We're not playing Saturday, Tuesday. We're Friday, Tuesday. What do you expect to see in terms of back 3 lineup?
I'd rest him. I'm not a big fan of resting players, but he's 37.
It's coming up to it, yeah.
I think you make exceptions when it comes to age, but if he wants to play, let him play. I think it comes down to him, how he feels, obviously. But if I would personally rest him, but like I said, if he wants to play, let him play.
Okay, that's fair enough. Can you see any other changes, Danny? Would you still keep Freddie and Smith up top?
No, I'd bring Coyote in for Freddie. I think after Freddie did play well in first half. I mean, there was one instance where he ran down the right hand side like a man possessed, and I don't think I've ever seen Freddie move that quickly. It was like, have we brought somebody on here? Yeah. Is that still Freddie? But you know, fair play to him on that. But in the second half, he sort of dropped off a little bit, and I think Coyote put himself about really well when he came on. So I can see Coyote coming in. Maybe not a start for Aussie 2-2, but certainly bring him in for Ferguson later in the game to inject that bit of pacing because he is dangerous on that left-hand side. As soon as he starts gelling with the team a little bit more, he will be a danger. And I can see the argument for Angus coming in, maybe shift Icky into the centre and have Angus on that left-hand side. Again, it all comes down to, is he ready to start a game? You know, do we want a few reserve games under his belt to go, or do we say, right, play for, I don't know, 60 minutes, and if you run out of steam, we can bring Matic on, potentially. And then, yeah, probably keep midfield the same, depending on how fit and healthy everybody is. Maybe bring Lindsay in as a backup. But other than that, yeah, I think only 2 I can really see changing is if Angus is ready, why not? And probably KO'd in up front. Other than that, keep it same. Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning, because I don't know how many people saw this. Angus MacDonald got booked on Friday night.
Hey, what?
Yeah. So as the referee went down the tunnel, Angus was still waiting for him, and Angus has gone right in ref's face and just started clapping right in his face and got booked. I just haven't spotted anywhere, but he definitely got booked.
Poor lad's obviously feeling left out, isn't he?
I need to message Angus on Instagram and say, you know what, fair play, pal, well done.
Listen, I understand this is the longest he's gone in his career in a season without getting booked. So, it's got to be done.
It had to be mentioned. It's not even on live scores. Live scores I haven't even picked it up, but I 100% he got booked.
Yeah.
Or certain he did, or somebody did. If it weren't Angus, it was somebody else. I'm 99% sure it was Angus. So
That's exceptional.
I'm sure let me checked. I'm playing Angus, you beast. We thought we couldn't love him a bit more. He goes and does that. What a guy! What an absolute guy. Paul Brook about Georgie Kelly on the bench. We went defensive on the bench on Friday. Mate. I think Bowler was on there, and we looked to put him on when we need it. Georgie Kelly was doing the fitness test. He was there, so he's not injured or anything like that. This might be the perfect game to put him on the bench and give him those 20 minutes. And if we're 3-0 up, which we could be, I'm not saying we are going to try to be arrogant, but we could be 3-0 up in an hour. If that's the case, the last 20 minutes would be perfect.
Yeah, it would absolutely. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to wait and see. I think we'll see a different bench on Tuesday night. I'm not convinced how much difference there's going to be in the actual starting 11, but we'll wait and see on that. But I suspect the bench will be different. I think Freddie got to start for me on Tuesday. I think he's got to give him that opportunity to maintain the level that he's been playing at. And if he doesn't, then we're back to square one, aren't we? But for me, I think he starts.
That's fair enough. Ben, we'll do some predictions now. Bear with me. Nobody got the Wigan predictions right, but I was the only one that predicted a draw. So I'm going to declare myself the winner on that one.
No,
well done, Matt.
How it is, isn't it? That's how it's going to be, is it?
Yeah, it's a dictatorship, not a democracy, this podcast. Just bear that in mind, everybody. So with that in mind, let's go for some predictions. Ben, score predictions. Donna says, score prediction for Tuesday. Ben, if you get it spot on with the minutes of the goals as well, the offer still stands that she will give you the...
Well, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but I got it bang on last year. Absolutely bang on. Do you not remember it? I said, Icky.
Yeah, I do.
I said, Icky. Last minute goal, 1-0. It was the first time we ever predicted it, and I got it bang on. You can't write that kind of stuff, can you? But,
Donna will correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is not a retrospective offer.
All right.
Ben, we have played over 60 games since then.
And
you
it still happened.
Anyway, Ben.
It still happened. I got it bang on. I got it absolutely bang on. No one's got it that clean since. No. Yeah, that's fine. But no one's got it that clean since. No one's got it that specific.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but sorry. Cool.
Ben, so we want score and minutes of all three. If you can give scores if you like, but I don't. You don't have to.
2-0. 2-0. Smith on the 53rd minute and Wiles 83rd.
Okay, so you did decide to give scores. Well done. Oh, Ben, I love you, mate. I'm glad you're on wheels, mate. I'll be honest with you. It's brilliant. Steve Cooper, 3-0 to the Millers. Brian Vernon, 3-0 as well. Scott Grundy says 2-1. Paul Brook says 2-1. I'm a player says 7-2.
That is ambitious but brilliant. Good lord.
Yeah, I can't see it's going to seem too good. Josh Fletcher, someone's due a batter in 5-0. Andy Hunt thinks it's going to be a very scrappy game, 2-1. Harvey Kelwick, 3-0 as well. Mick, you're on the list. I meant to ask you first, but go on, prediction.
I had the time to think about it, mate. 3-1. I think we may concede again. But 3-1. I ain't got a clue who's going to score or what time. If I did,
you're not going to street sign
because they just banged a bet on and banged my house on a bet, and they're living back in Wales now.
You mean staying in Wales, staying where you are?
Sorry, remaining here in my house that you can see in Wales, in my very Welsh house. As you can see in the background there, there's the yellow, the green and red and white of the Welsh flag, as you can see.
Mm.
I reckon it's a green screen is in that car park.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Tip top 2-0. John Ox to be 3-1. Power Mad UK 3-0. Donna goes 4-0. But then Brooke Simcox with the style I like 10-0. I like it, Brooke. Reg IOC, the only person so far I think that's not giving us a win. Reg IOC thinks it's going to be 1-1. Andy Wignall 2-0. Chris Tether says 3-0. He would save Woody for the weekend, move Icky inside, put Matic on the left and Kelly on later. I'm going to go with what Chris Tether said, 3-0. I agree with it. Basically, everything he said, Kelly later on, would be very, very nice. John Morell, a Birmingham fan, thinks it's going to be 3-1 to the Millers. Power man.
After a Birmingham sign, John.
So there we are. Danny, last man on the list to ask, what are your predictions for what day is it? Sunday. What are your predictions for Tuesday night?
Is it Sunday?
Next time we play.
I'm gonna say 3-1. I mean, we have to concede 20 goals at some point this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna say 3-1 to us.
I like your style. I forgot the Bandscape advert today. I'll have to do that next time. There we go. Thank you, everybody who has put some questions in. We've not got through everybody's questions, but we will go through some stuff in the future. Like in the last episode, my episode, we will do that again. We've already got a few people interested coming on in future episodes. We will do that. We'll bring fans on where we aren't playing Saturday, Tuesday, because like we said, we've got an hour and 10 minutes today, and it wouldn't be fair to sort of bring one of you guys on and rush you off and things like that. So when we've got more time, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. We have some good feedback from everybody else. So we will continue to do that. If you are interested, feel free to get in touch. Few people already have. We've got a few people lined up for future episodes. If you're interested in coming on, let us know, and we'll do the same sort of thing that we did the other day. Ben, we've not even had time to talk about your Super Bowl last Sunday, so that's a shame.
Oh no, what a shame.
Yeah, Rams won.
But judging by the jersey I'm wearing, I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, did you get some snacks sorted for it?
I made some chicken wraps.
Ooh, look at you.
I
By
know.
yourself? Made them yourself?
Yeah, by myself.
Wow.
Yeah, made
impressive.
them
It's
myself.
not hard, is it? Chicken wrap.
I mean,
To be fair, I
impressive.
can do a chicken wrap.
Hey, I can cook more than you, Mick.
Anyway,
well, we'll see about that.
move on. Thank you all for joining us. As always, we very much appreciate it. We will be back on Thursday. Back on Thursday Night Live on YouTube, but Friday morning for the podcast, for the audio podcast, as one of the big journeys of the season comes up with our Guile Saturday. So,
Oh, goody.
good luck everyone on that one. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe on the YouTube page. That's going up and up and up and up, and we really appreciate everybody who's supporting us. And the last few episodes on the audio have been some of the highest listened to as well. So again, thank you everybody. We really appreciate everything you're doing for us, and I hope you enjoy what we're doing for you as well. Subscribe, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. You know what I'm saying. Every episode we go through the same thing, and you are doing it. So thank you. Michael, I hope Wales is nice for you.
It's beautiful, as you can see.
With the blind
As you can see behind me, it's a beautiful place, is Wales.
Ben, you will not be at the game Tuesday, and you won't be in the next podcast. So whenever I see you next, I'm sure that it'll be a better day.
Thank you, I guess.
Okay. Danny. Oh, Danny, it's been a good episode. I've enjoyed this. Thank you for coming, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Been a pleasure. We've got to rant about referees, players, linesmen, all sorts. Been a cracking day.
As Donna London, and this is a good one. Can we please create a jingle for someone for Mick's rants? If anyone wants to create a jingle for Mick's rants, send it into the email rufcpod@gmail.com. Send it in, and we will definitely use it. Definitely use it. That's a great idea. Thank you, Donna. Cheers, everybody, and we will see you next time. Oh, whoa! Watch the vlog. Watch Danny's Matchday vlog. Sorry, everybody. Danny's Matchday vlog is up there. Really good, worth a watch. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, please excuse me shouting at Curtis Tull, but we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Credits on one-on-one. The credits turning shoot. Container shot. Unbelievable! Apologies to the neighbours.